Hey guys, happy Sunday. I hope that you are having a glorious Sunday. Um, we have some really fun stuff lined up for today, but you know what? We always have fun stuff lined up for our live chats. Anyway, I hope it's a beautiful day where you guys are. Let me know what you have cooked up for today, what you have going on this week, maybe any cool things that happened last week. But before we dive into all of that, if you don't know who I am Tara with The Savage Wild. You can learn a little bit more about me by checking out that information box down below. In the description, you will find my website, thesavagewild.com. You'll also find ways to help support the channel if that's something that you would like to do through my YouTube membership or through Patreon. So thank you so much for everybody who's come to join us. And it looks like our friend Siren is here first. So hello. Welcome first. Okay, so we are going to be making a fun tea today. It is August 2nd. On the farmer calendar, we would have celebrated Lammas yesterday, which is a Christian holiday. It is the first wheat harvest. So people would be making breads and all fun things made out of wheat. And in tradition, the church would have collected all of these basically bushels of wheat, made a bunch of bread, and then passed it out to the community so that everybody could enjoy in that very first harvest. And speaking of harvest, I had a little harvest of my own yesterday. I was like looking around because, you know, lots of things are blossoming and blooming, like my tomatoes and some of my Thai squashes. A couple of my Thai squashes are doing really well. My cayenne peppers are making little green peppers are hanging off the limbs. And I was looking at my box of potatoes, and well, as you know, when potatoes are ready for the rummaging through the soil is when the plants look like they have died. And so all the plants had died, and I was like, ooh, that means there is some potatoes. So these were potatoes that had originally we had bought from the store, and we didn't get to all of them, so they just kind of sprouted in the pantry as they do. And I was like, well, I'm just going to put these sprouted spuds in the soil and let's see what happens. So in this bag, I have my little mini harvest. And after I pulled all these potatoes out of the soil, I got a new box because the old box, you know, obviously I ripped it open to get all the potatoes out without harming their skin. I refilled it with the old soil plus some extra compost, and I have some more potatoes, the last of the potatoes that had sprouted in the pantry. So now they're in the soil, and hopefully by October, the final harvest, I'll be getting some more potatoes. So here we go. I don't know if this is going to work on camera. Okay, there you go. You guys can see. There's all my mini potatoes. And so tonight for dinner, I thought I would roast up these little baby potatoes and mix them in with a little bit of steak. I thought maybe just, I don't know, I'll look around and see what spices and things we have. Definitely lots of butter. I think that's going to be rather delicious. Okay, other thing that I harvested that came from my friend from his contraband seeds from Thailand is this kind of lemon, hint of peppery basil. It's really, really good. So I've been drying some of it out. As I've been picking the tips that have started to flower, I've just been, you know, picking those tips, and then any leaves that were attached, those are the leaves that I'm drying out. So I haven't done like a proper harvesting really of my basil, but more just like the tips so that it keeps getting bigger and bushier. But that's plenty already just from pulling from flowering tips, just all the leaves that were connected to it. So it smells super lemony, like I don't know what kind of lemon is that? It's kind of like a lemon meringue almost. That's what it smells like. It smells like lemon meringue. But when you taste it, it's super lemony and basil-y. And there's like this ever so hint of pepper in it, which is really nice. So I am going to try to, at least from the flowering ones, I'll let some of them flower so that I could get some seeds from them later so I can replant next year because these are freaking awesome. Let's see. Siren says, did Susie like her message? Yes, she did. So I sent it off to her. She said, thank you. Lilith says that onyx is always super mesmerizing. Oh yes, my little onyx or actually it's my black obsidian pendant. I love this. It has the Thunderbird on there. I'm hoping that helps to invoke some rain because we were getting like rain every day at like 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Um, and it stopped. It like went a couple of days ago and decided to get super hot. And now my plants are like, I'm like, no, hold on, you guys. We're supposed to get some rains again soon. um, let's see. Siren saying hello to Lilith. Weather pages. Oh, hey, it's Sherry Bug. What's up? Oh my gosh, it has been a hot minute. Welcome, welcome. Wow, good to see you. Lilith says, howdy. Siren said, Sherry Bug, long time no see. Sherry Bug saying hello to Siren. Lilith said, sharing cinnamon banana bread with the chat. Ooh, oh, that's right. Lilith went on a baking spree, and I've been thinking about that banana bread that you've made, and I'm like, we need to get some bananas. You know what? My buddy, who I got all the cool contraband seeds from, he has, number one, an amazing gardens because he's got like a couple of big outdoor gardens. He's fully like self-sustaining off grid, and he's got this beautiful greenhouse and everything. And in that greenhouse, he's growing all kinds of tropical fruits and all kinds of good stuff. He's even trying to grow some tobacco, but he's got bananas. And I was like, ooh, you imagine homegrown bananas and make some banana bread? That'd be freaking awesome. Lilith says rosemary taters. Ooh, you know what? I could put some rosemary in there because I have some leftover rosemary that my neighbor gave me that she grew. I have rosemary, but it's not mature enough yet. It's not big enough for me to start like harvesting from it, but I can't wait to do that. But that is lovely. I think maybe I will add some rosemary to those taters because I like that. And lots of butter, of course. um, let's see. Lilith says, oh, my bad, obsidian. No worries, onyx, obsidian. Two really cool crystals. Sherry Bug said, good to see you too. Yay, I'm so happy you're here. Well, I was just talking about my little harvesties. So I harvested some potatoes yesterday, and I harvested some of my cool Thai basil. It's super lemony. So in honor of this change in season, we're going into late summer, which, you know, the weather's all kind of fluxy here in the mountains right now. So we're like, have some really warm days, but then might get some overcast and some monsoons, which are really good for the garden and the trees and the forest and all that good stuff. So I was thinking of a tea that I had made, I think it was about a year ago now. And it's just the last of this tea that I made with some white tea leaves. And with that, the tea leaves they're very young, they're very delicate. They have a very light florally taste to them, which means that they burn rather easily, which means I can't let them steep forever. Otherwise, you get this really bitter taste in your tea. And I've added all these like light floral notes, you know, with roses and chrysanthemum and all these like other light flowers. And I thought it would be really nice for this time, like nice, light change in season as we go into this late summer weather here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I busted out this cute little tea set or this little teacup and saucer that I found at an antique store. And they had this really cool sale. So it was only like 50 cents. And I was like, dude, I'm getting it. But it's so delicate. It's so cute. I mean, looks key. So I thought, well, this is the perfect one to have a nice delicate tea in. So what I'm going to do actually, because my tea's in this little kitty cat, because my normal tea basket is a little big for this, but it wasn't very much tea, so it's okay. It has enough room to expand in here. I'm going to pour in my hot water, but I'm only going to let it be there for like 10 seconds, and then I'm going to pour it out. And then I'm going to pour in more hot water, and then I'll let it be there for maybe like 30 seconds. And then I'll quickly take this out. So here we go. It's kind of a process, but it's called blanching your tea leaves. So you're not killing them, not roasting them, but you're just blanching them, give them a little shock. And then you do just a quick steeping because you want all the lightness out of the tea. So let's see. Siren says, Sherrybug, you probably recognize me, my old handle, Night Daughter Oracle. And Sherrybug said, maybe that's it. And Melissa says, the tea cat is fabulous. Dude, I got this from a friend of mine one year for, I think it was Christmas. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Perfect gift. Okay. So we are going to just pour in a little bit of water. We're just going to blanch this for about 10 seconds. Ooh, that's hot. 1, 2. Okay, and we're pouring. Okay, now we're going to add some water again. And this is something maybe you want to try with some more delicate herbs that you have, or maybe if you do have white tea leaves. Again, we're just going to do a very quick steeping. And notice like the change in taste. I always say try the herbs in various ways when you guys are making tea. So you could do cold brew infusions, which definitely the way that it extracts just seems to bring out more of the sweetness, more of the lighter notes in certain herbs. And sometimes when you're doing boiling water, you might bring out more of the tanginess, but you get other notes, which, almost totally changes the flavor. Or you could do quick blanching like this with some really, really light leaves and light herbs. And again, it's just like a whole new flavor. So it's like with these different methods, you can have this exact same herbs, but get totally different tasting teas, which is amazeballs. Okay, I think this is steeped enough. We have steeped enough. Siren says, because mint has been haunting me lately. I got a mint strawberry shake when I went to Culver's a few days ago. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Ooh, maybe that's something I could make. Get some strawberries and some mint, maybe make my own smoothie or make some, popsicles. I have popsicle molds. Pop that in the freezer. Ooh, that sounds so good. Okay. Kitty cat is going over here. I'm gonna pour out the rest of this water. Okay. All right. So since I don't have to wait for it to steep, let's have a little taste. It's probably a little hot right now, actually. Super light and summery. Would actually be really good for a spring tea as well, but just makes me think of like being outside right now. Well, actually, if I was outside right now, I'd be sweating. It's a little too warm for my very thick blood right now. It's like 90. I'm like, but down in the valley, it's like the devil's armpit right now. It's like 110, something like that. I'm like, good luck, valley folk. Us mountain folk are just gonna melt in our 90 degrees. Okay, so let me go ahead, put this picture back. Okay. Well, let's head out into the living room because, like I said, we have some fun stuff. Okay, let me back up. Riley and I went to Colorado to go do some Jeeping. We went to Silverton, Colorado. So much fun. We were there for a few days. Got to stay in an old house built in 1898. It was a little Airbnb, and we stayed with some friends in there. And then the other friends that came with us, they were in like different little Airbnbs all around the town because they've tried to keep the town as original as possible. So they don't allow like new construction, no new buildings. You can like refurbish, renovate some old homes, but it's pretty much what it looked like back in the very early like turn of the century, which was really nice. But anyway, so what was I going to say? So so once we got back, which we got back, it would have been like 1 a.m. Colorado time, but it was midnight midnight our time, just because Arizona doesn't change its clocks, even though we're all mountain time. It's just like Arizona mountain time. So we got back pretty late. So like the next day, I was like kind of dead, and we're still kind of recovering and slowly putting stuff away and everything. So I put out the poll about a day late. Normally, I put out our YouTube voting poll on my YouTube's channel page on Thursday, but it didn't go out until Friday because I was tired because we came back on Thursday. So of the votes that came in, plus the votes from my YouTube members and the votes from Patreon, which, by the way, little extra perk besides all the other stuff that you guys get as YouTube members and patrons, a little extra thing is you get an extra vote too for the Sunday live chat. So there's something that you're aching to see as an extra, you get that extra vote. So it was tied at first for doing a DIY tripwire alarm, which I was like, dude, that's going to be fun. Or it was making cabbage bandages. I almost said cabbage patch. Cabbage bandages. DIY cabbage bandages, which are pretty fun to do as well. And then a couple of extra votes came in from Patreon and pushed it to DIY tripwire alarm. So we're going to be doing that. I was going to do it outside. But like I said, it's a little too roasty, and I don't really want to be all like melting on camera. So I'm going to do it in the house and make a nice loud alarm sound in the house. I think it'll be great. We'll see if it sets the dogs off. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Lila says, did she say devil's armpit? More like his crevice. Well, maybe it's a booty crevice. I don't know, booty pit. Lila says, what profanities is what Riley whispering in the background? Well, we can't see it on camera. Siren says Vader's gonna freak out. We'll see. Because I said last Sunday, our friend whose dogs these are, even though Vader acts like he's our dog. Well, Vader, his brother Liam, and his sister Inky are all staying with us, and their mama is supposed to be back like Monday or Tuesday from Hawaii, off doing her mother's memorial service out there. So we got 3 dogs. Well, technically 4, because Riley's sister also has a dog that is upstairs, a little like long-haired Chihuahua. So we'll see. It'll be fun. Okay, so I'm going to take my tea and you guys, let's head out to the living room. I'm trying to like keep my tea steady. Hey, there we go. Check out the photos from Silverton. Dude, that was so fun. I've not been to a lot of states in the US, but Colorado is freaking beautiful. Like freaking beautiful. Okay, I'm just put my little tea gizmo here. Excuse the noise. do, do. Okay, sorry, I was just getting tripod legs. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab the laptop so I can see your guys' chitty chat. Well, hello, Inky. Are you going to join our chat today? Oh, there's another photo from our trip. We were at Black Bear Pass. And it actually, after we had finished that run, they actually shut it down because there was some massive mudslide, and somebody had posted a picture on Facebook of that mudslide, and these big boulders had come down, and there was like a somebody's vehicle, like their off-road vehicle, and this like rock slide or mudslide or whatever was like twice the size of the vehicle, like high. So I was like, oh well, we made it out just in time. So it was raining on and off. It wasn't like too bad. It's not like we were slip sliding around because of the mud or anything, but it had rained enough in some areas that was causing some mudslides here and there. So yeah, but Black Bear Pass was pretty cool. A little unnerving for me in a couple of places because I have an issue with heights. And it was these like you get to these like switchbacks going down the mountain, and you saw in the picture that it's like well over 12,000 feet. And as you're coming down, you can actually see Telluride, which was pretty cool. The city of Telluride. And so you're coming down, and it's one lane. So like really two cars can't pass. So you have like the mountain and you have the cliff. And that is all. And it's slightly wider than your vehicle. So we're going down, and I was kind of like, whew, in a couple of places. But beautiful views, absolutely beautiful. So I did try my best to get over my fears so that I could actually take video. So I will be, wow, see, you guys, take a look at that. It's so pretty. So I have lots and lots of video. I have like 3 days worth of video, probably over 100 videos that I have to go through because I want to make a nice, proper Jeeping video to put onto my YouTube channel. And plus I have tons of like vertical videos. So I'm going to make probably shorts for days. But it was just gorgeous. And I love when days are overcast in the mountains, because to me, it seems to, I don't know, bring out like the saturation, like the greens are greener, the browns are browner, and the yellows are yellow. It's just to me more magical. And I love sunny days, of course, but something about a drizzly, overcast day in the mountains. And when we woke up in the morning, I remember I came out and on one of the days, and the clouds were at our level because we're the town that we're staying in is at like 10,000 feet. And so the clouds were just kind of like hanging there. It was super cool. Oh, Riley is donating another piece of equipment for our tripwire that we are going to be getting to. But before we get to that, I do want to say thank you to everybody who hangs out with us in these live chats. I appreciate each and every one of you. I have a lot of fun. That's why I do these live chats, these Sunday live chats. I like hanging out with you guys. It's a fun day for me. And I hope you guys have fun as well. But Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to my mighty moderators who wield the wrench of destiny. Thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you to everybody who is a YouTube member, and you know who they are because they have a little colored wolf head next to their name. And those people are Shadowlands Radio and Costalini and Chang Rainbow Lotus and Jonathan Cleese and Nancy from Macron's Intuition. Thank you. And also thank you to my lovely patrons, Carmen and Adrian and Casey Gritter, Joel, Brandy, Brian, Lily, Crystal, Easy Does It, and Dana. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see. Let me go back here. Lila says, well, the house is still standing, so that's good news. Yes. Time Harvest said, WTF, I want a Jeep now, but I can only afford a bicycle. Hey, you know what? We got lots of years ahead of us. That Jeep will manifest someday. Also, good to see you, buddy. Siren is saying hello to Time Harvest. Everybody's saying hello, skis. And Lilith's like, don't hate on bicycles. Hey, no hate here. I have a bicycle. I live by bike. I'm still sad that I had to sell my beach cruiser before I came up here because I was like, dude, where am I going to ride a beach cruiser in the mountains? So I have a mountain bike now, which needs a little bit of love, but I still miss that beach cruiser. Anywho, Time Harvest says, wasn't it invented by Europeans? The bicycle? Probably. Bikes are amazeballs. Siren says, cue bicycle race by Queen. Play it in your heads. Willis says, I don't know, but I know I rely on mine a lot. Damn lucky it missed y'all. Mm-hmm. And Lila says, I hate heights too. Or sorry, Siren said she hates heights too. Time Harvest says, hey Tara, after you stopped channeling and converted to Christian, do you see channeling differently, like in a negative way? I don't see it in a negative way, actually, because I don't know. I just see channeling differently, but not necessarily negative. Like, I see sometimes like when, let's say I was like gonna channel for somebody and they wanted to focus on, you know, stuff that was just, you know, how could I get over this? How can I, you know, go over this and this and this? Sometimes I think like with channeling, we can learn a great many things. So there's, you know, pros to that, which is really cool. But there's also a shadow side, as we know, there's light and shadow and everything, a shadow side to channeling in that we get stuck in the healing cycle, stuck in the 3D. So on one hand, it's great to be healing. It's great to be doing shadow work, not knocking that, definitely good stuff. Definitely great to go inwards and look on ways to help yourself, and you know, and being able to channel that is amazeballs. But we could get so locked into it and so fascinated by it, like you know, like a moth to a flame, as they say, you know, just like, ooh, it's like, I got to heal this and I got to heal it. Now we're in this like cycle where we forget to live life. We forget about all like the other millions reasons why we are here. So I think it's like, got to use it in moderation, because when I'm, let's say, you know, reading the Bible, or I'm in prayer, it's a form of channeling. When I'm making music, that's a form of channeling. When I'm doing art, that is a form of channeling. So I can't knock on channeling, because I'm, you know, connecting to some higher energy. I am connecting to my own soul. I'm also connecting to the creator, and, you know, connecting to all these things. But instead of utilizing it as like, this is the only tool I have, and I'm only going to look through this perspective, I'm trying to use it as like accompaniment to all the other millions of beautiful things that are here to aid me on this journey. So it's not the main device, it's just a device, you know, so if that makes sense. That's kind of how I see it now. So I don't really like sit down and try, let's say, to channel my Sasquatchy friends, or try to channel, you know, the the Arcturians or the Blue Avians. I feel them. I still see them. I still get messages, but I'm not actively trying to, because I feel like, at least for me personally, I could go down a rabbit hole and it's very hard to get out of that rabbit hole. But like I said, there are different forms of channeling, like music and art. And when I'm in prayer or in meditation, all those are different types of channeling, but I don't get so locked into it that it's like my only, like that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm looking at. So yeah, great question. Thank you. Lilith says, I found it fascinating in Colorado that the height made such a big temperature difference. Like it was the only place I ever experienced something like that. Really? Yeah, it was so much cooler up in the mountains. And when we started to come down in elevation, like to Durango, it was freaking hot. Like we could feel it. Like my arm was hanging out the window and it was like, ooh, at first it was like 70 something degrees. This is nice. And then like we dropped in elevation. It was like, 80 degrees, boom, 90 degrees, boom, like upper 90s. I was like, yeah, so it's fascinating because you're still within the same state, but that's like also in Arizona. You're like, I mean, we're not at the highest elevation in Arizona, but in the elevations as you go higher, it's like, oh, it's a nice, beautiful, cool summer day. And then you like drop down and now we're in Pine Top, but it's pretty warm. Then if you drop way down and like to the valley, then you've become, I don't know, you've combusted. You are just ash now. um, let's see. Siren was asking about when I had converted. I That is hard to say because I kind of grew up with a little mix of like Catholicism and everything else that I did. But I had, I had talked about before, I had such an issue with the people that were forcing me into something that I didn't know anything about quite yet. And so I didn't get it. I didn't understand it, and there were a lot of people that I felt were utilizing it in a way that would just benefit themselves. But as people do with anything, it doesn't even have to be religion. And so I went away from it, but still had a connection to like Jesus and the creator. But I just went on this like spiritual journey and wanted to learn about all these other religions, which I did. I read into all, different types of religions and all different types of ways of connecting to energy. Hence my channelings and my tarot readings. And I think that being on that journey actually helped bring me closer to the creator, because it was with my ability to do that I ended up having these crazy visions, which actually was like, oh, kind of brought me back and helped me to heal that portion of myself where I had such a stigma with like organized religion. And it was because of people who didn't represent it well. And that's sad because it's like I was totally disregarding, basically the creator coming to earth, trying to share some wonderful teachings, trying to help people. And I was like, nah, because the people that are trying to represent that were, at least very few people that were trying to represent that weren't doing such a great job. And so I had come back to it, but this time from a different perspective. And it was just so nice to have a much more healed perspective instead of all the traumas of the past, being connected to it. And I still don't jive with Catholicism, but I do jive with Christianity, like in its purest form. And so it not like any sort of denomination, just Christianity, through Jesus's works. And so, yeah. And then I had told you guys I had got baptized on the 18th. And that was for me. This time, nobody was like, telling me, oh, this is what you have to do. It's like, no, I have this personal connection now. I have, been through a lot of healing. It feels really good, and I felt this call again because I have strengthened my intuition. I can feel into this, so I felt the creator say like, hey, like, let's do it. Let's get baptized in the lake. And I was like, heck yeah. So we went to Rainbow Lake and I got baptized. And yeah, I'm doing pretty good on this lake of my spiritual journey. Um, let's see. Lilith says, the departed won't leave you alone. This is true. Time harvested. Interesting perspective. Essentially, all you were doing is having a chat with these different energies. It can't be that bad, right? But I guess everything has its shadows, as you said. Yeah. Yeah, it's just not getting sucked down a rabbit hole. So, to me, I was like thinking, okay, so if the creator, the one that, like, the Bible speaks of, the one that my, indigenous ancestors speak of, created everything, literally everything, every dimension, every ET that we can think of, every god or goddess, all these mega energies, then why wouldn't I just go straight to the one that created them for the answers? And sure, it's like, getting perspectives from all these different friends and, energies, which is cool, but I wouldn't rely on them solely for all of the answers. That's what I was trying to say. So, like, let's say you're chatting with the Arcturians. They only have the Arcturian perspective, and it's a very limited perspective as their species. Let's say you're talking to Sasquatch or whatever, it's a very limited perspective. Why not talk to the one that actually created all of those things? So that's when I was like, okay, so I just really redirected my focus. Not that they don't have cool things to share, but like everything, we all got some form of ego, some form of agenda. So so it's great to listen, but I'm not like relying on them solely for all the information. Like, why am I here? Like, what's coming next? So I'm like, I'm just going to go to the creator. But, my ears are out, I'm like listening everywhere all the time. Let's see. Lilith says, yeah, exactly. It was cold and icy up in the mountains. Dude, there was still snow patches up there. And when we were there, it was still July. We're like, so technically they got glaciers. I'm like, what? Time Harvest says, what's the biggest shadows about channeling in your opinion? For me, it's getting so sucked into, let's say, one perspective, or just like ET perspectives, or just the 4D perspectives, or just the 5D perspectives. And I get so lost in that because to me, I feel like there's an infinite amount of layers to life and everything, that we can get lost in that forever, because there's so much to know, like an infinite amount of knowledge. And if I'm constantly throughout my very finite time here, my physical body is finite, and I'm trying to learn an infinite amount of knowledge, I'm going to be focused on that. And I'm not going to be focused on being here, present in the 3D, focused on my friends and family, focused on, the beauty of the outdoors, focused on my animal kin and the plants in my garden, so I think that it's wonderful to look into, but I can't get so sucked in because, like I said, it's like one rabbit hole after another, after another, after another. It's like, okay, but then what's the Lyran perspective? And then what happened with the Lyrans? And then there's another layer and another layer, another layer. And you could just like be there forever. It's like when people get lost in like doom scrolling on social media, it's like you can just go forever. Siren said July 18th. That was Mom's birthday. Wow. Well, then a very special day. And Time Harvest says, I was born on the 18th too. Dude, it was a magical day then. So many birthdays as well. That's cool. I like that. Very cool. And Siren was like, are you serious, Time Harvest? He's like, yeah. She said, Mom would have been 61 this year. Well, and as you know, we send lots and lots and lots of love to your mama. And Time Harvest says he was asking what year she passed, and she said November 10th of 2022, so 4 years ago almost. And he was saying he's so sorry. She is in peace and in her journey right now. And she said thank you. So yes, our journeys continue. Speaking of infinity and eternity. Yeah, that healing journey is an infinite journey. These dimensions, infinite. This knowledge, infinite. Our soul, infinite. So, very easy to get lost in the infinite and away from the present moment and our whole human journey as well. Of course, we have a spiritual journey, and it's very important. Yes, we have, all of this, but we also, part of that spiritual journey is our human journey. And we, at least in my opinion, I feel like we can't lose sight of that. We're each made for very specific purposes, to raise the vibration and, aid each other and aid this planet and aid the world. And in effect, it aids all dimensions, so we have to also live our lives here too. Not to say that there isn't some cool stuff to learn out there, but we can't go get so lost in it, we end up drowning in it, in my opinion. um, Assign was saying, thank you. Sherry Bug says, do you still read cards? I stopped after Dad died 2.5 years ago. Reset my life a bit. I'm so sorry to hear about your father passing. Again, I send lots of love and prayers to your family as well. I do not read my cards for the same reason that I don't do my channelings anymore, is I felt like, I was saying, people can get very sucked into everything outside of just being here in the present moment. Not that there wasn't, that I wasn't honored to read for people, and that I was very honored to do so. I was honored to channel for people. I was honored to do all of that. But I felt like I was somehow, even though my heart was in the area of wanting to help people and wanting to help people on their journey, that somehow I was aiding people in getting stuck in just the healing process. Not everybody, but some people in like, I got to just focus on healing one shadow after another, after another, after another, where yes, like I said, healing's important, but we also have to be a human being. We also have to live. And so I felt like I was maybe hindering people in that way because they were coming to me for me to use my intuition. And so now my whole focus is on really trying to build like sovereignty and community. I've always been trying to build community, but sovereignty and community, meaning focusing on what is your intuition saying? Let's look at your talents. Let's look at what you can do, and let's look at what we can all do, and let's share it so that we can all help each other and grow together and raise this vibration together, so that we're not placing, let's say, one person on a pedestal, like, you help me find out my journey. I think the whole point of our journey is for us to find the answers, for us to uncover it. And the only way we can do that is to strengthen our intuitive muscle, just like when we go to the gym and we work out our muscles to get strong. I can't pay somebody else to work out for me and expect that I'm going to get muscles. I have to do the work myself. And so I think that, many readers and channelers out there, their heart is in the right place. They're really trying to help people. But ultimately, in my personal opinion, I feel like if we can work on it ourselves, trying to find it out, our answers for ourselves, really paying attention to the present, looking from signs from the creator, through the animals, through the trees, through, just everything around us, then we strengthen that intuition and we're able to help ourselves on this journey. And of course we can ask, our friends for help along the way, but really the answers that we need to hear, we need to find ourselves. But yeah, so, but the whole point of community is that we can help each other too. Okay, but fabulous question. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Siren says, yes, I do, though I don't do it as often. Sherbeck says, yep, I get it. Getting sucked into things. And thank you so much for the kind words. Very welcome. And I'm so happy to see you. I was literally just thinking about you a few days ago. I was thinking about, different people I used to see in my live chat. And I was like, I wonder how Sherry Bug's doing. So lo and behold, here you are. So yay. Time Harvest says, my intuition is telling me I've been a very, very bad boy this week. I trust it. Lilith says no comment. Well, I don't know if we should pry. Oh my goodness. Um, hmm. Oh, you know what? I'll have a little bit more of my tea too. I almost forgot about my tea. Okay. Are you guys ready to make a DIY tripwire alarm? So this really isn't like just to make somebody trip. This is like to sound the alarm. So why would we make a tripwire alarm? For the most part, this is like, let's say you are camping, and um, you're like, well, I just want to make sure like no random weird forest schmo, works his way into my camp or something. I want to be able to sleep soundly knowing that that little alarm is out there. And, I would wake up if somebody were entering my camp. And it may not be a human, but it could be, let's say, an animal coming in, and not to say that like animals are dangerous and we need to wake up because of all the dangerous animals out there. But, animals, they would enter a camp because they're looking for food, really. And so we just want to make sure that we keep the animals safe and we keep the people safe. And so that's why you would make that alarm, is, being like, oh, okay, well, animal has entered camp, shoot animal, we don't want them, getting into something that might be poisonous for them, because our human food is not that great for animals, let alone us. And, maybe we might have some, I don't know, some chemicals that that we've brought to camp that might not be good for animals as well. So we just want to make sure that we wake up, keep the animals safe, keep us safe. But again, there might be some weird dude that just like pops out of the forest and is like, I'm coming into your camp. So you would want to be alarmed of that. People might also ask, like, could you use a tripwire alarm around your property? And that gets technical because certain provinces and jurisdictions say that like you can't have booby traps. They would consider that a booby trap. Like you can't have booby traps around your property. You can't like, create things that would have an intruder injure themselves. I know it sounds dumb because it's like your property. So you should be able to like make booby traps if you want and all that, but whatever. So it's different states and different cities, different, towns and provinces, they have their own laws about that. So if you are thinking about putting some sort of cool booby trap on your property or a little tripwire alarm, definitely look into the laws of your town before doing so. But what I'm going to show you definitely can be used when you're out in the wilderness, and you're out in the boonies, you're out camping, and you just want to be alerted if someone or something or a phantasmic something, I don't know, do ghosts trip over triple arms? I don't know. But, you just want to have it there as an extra in case. So I'm going to be doing it inside. Like I said, I don't know if all the dogs will also get alarmed by all the noise I'm going to be making, but we shall see. Maybe they'll be good and just chill. But I didn't want to go outside because it's a little too hot. So we'll be in here. Wow, lots of faces going on between Time Harvest and Lilith. And Lilith says, yeah, Time Harvest, what have you done? He says, unimaginable things. And she says, I'll make this alarm for my future hubby when he goes ape. Nice. Sherry Bug says, ghost bears do 100%. Okay. So I will turn the camera around in just a moment because I'm not going to make my tripwire here. I'm actually going to attach it to some things that are in the living room here. So some things that you are going to need. First of all, cans. The cans of today don't really make a very loud sound. I mean, if these were clanking, I could definitely sleep through that because I'm a heavy sleeper. So in that case, you're going to want to fill them with some loud clinkly things. So these could be nuts and bolts. It could be pennies, although you might have to rip off the top to get your pennies out if you're really concerned about them. Maybe because, pennies are going to become rare. They don't make them anymore. But you could do that. You can fill it with rocks. You can fill it with your brass if you were out shooting that day, doing some target practice. But yeah, you could definitely put in the can and make a clankly sound. But if you happen to have a nice tin can, well, these are nice and loud, and you put you put a few clankalies in there, be it rocks, casings, what have you, change, and maybe you drill like a little hole here and a little hole here, and put your string through that. You'd only need one can, really. If somebody trips over that, or a bear or a ghost or Sasquatch, I don't know. They're going to make a loud noise. Hopefully that would wake you. But if you're like, oh, I'm a pretty sound sleeper, then maybe you do a few of these cans. But otherwise, I think that usually when people are out camping, soda cans and beer cans are what people are going to have the most. But, you might have cans of Bush's baked beans. I don't know. So anyway, I have this big, cool can. I don't really want to put a hole in this one because I have plans. I don't know what my plans are yet, but it's a cool can. I like it. I like to collect cans and jars. Okay, some other things you're going to need. String, definitely. I just had some hemp hanging around, but you could have fishing wire, you could have sewing thread, any string. Just use some string, whatever string you have on hand. And because you're going to have some string, you're probably going to need a pair of scissors or a knife or something to cut that string. And if you're going to be poking a hole in your cans, as I will be doing, then you're going to need some sort of sharp pokey thing. So get a pokey thing. And I say that because the tabs on these cans, they just don't make things like they used to. They come off really easily. So you might have this really cool, tripwire alarm all set off, and then the port. Yeah, I need a pokey thing, honey. Anywho. These tabs, they just come off so easily because, I don't know, things are janky these days. So I am actually going to use some of my leftover casings. I'm going to fill my little cans, and then I'm going to, actually, maybe I'll poke the holes first. I'll poke some holes through these cans. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. Lilith says, I'm Jon Snow. I know nothing. Time Harvest is Tara. Check out the game The Last of Us. This character called Bill uses the explosive tripwires, pitfall traps, and security alarms monitors to detect when infected or raiders cross his property. Ooh, I'm totally, when the shit hits the fan, I'm totally putting tripwire alarms like everywhere. I will be ready. Oh yes, I'm already ready, but let's see. Lilith says, Time Harvest, have you heard about Mixtape? And Siren says, that's one of those zombie games, right? Time Harvest. And he says he likes to use wire and grenade. If you pass it through it, you go boom. He says, I have no Lilith, is it good? And he was saying yes to Siren. Lilith says, I don't know, was like super popular a few weeks ago. Made me think of Tara's teenage life, though. It was very, very adventurous. My whole life has been quite adventurous. And my friends have all told me that, actually every age I've ever been, I've always had a friend being like, you need to write a book on your life. I'm like, dude, there's going to be so many books. It's going to be Lord of the Rings-esque. It's going to be volumes, chapters. You see, one day I will. He says the problem with the shit hitting the fan is the U.S. is that everybody will have guns and God knows what else. Well, not everybody, but we shall see. Huh? Yeah, not a problem for us. True that. Okay, so I'm gonna take my cans. I'm gonna jab a hole in it. So let's get pokey. Just like that. Okay. And out the other side. So just like that. Poke a hole through your can. I only have a few cans here. because we don't need to get super crazy. Okay, so there we go. Another hole. Also a really good activity if you feel like getting your aggressions out on things, you know, could be funsies. Oh, this one already has a clanky in it. Cool beans. And let's see, let's do a couple of beer cans. My friend Heather, when she was visiting from Utah, her husband brought over, it's called Scottsdale Blonde. This was actually a really nice beer. I'm usually very particular about my beers, and this was a good beer. Not that I drink a whole lot of beer anyway, but this was a good beer. Okay, so just putting some holes through. I think I'm good. 2, 4, 5. And that's good. I don't think I need to do this last can. That's fine, Z's. Okay. All right, so now we're going to fill these up. That makes a good noise. There's like 3 pieces of brass in here. Okay, let's put some casings in here. Yes, yes. Put some in our beer can here. Time Harvest says that he'll check it out. Siren says it's almost time for dinner. Be right back. All right. Well, go enjoy your dinner. Okay. Putting some brass in here. Which one is? Okay. All right. Get in the hole. You want to get in your hole. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. So your mom said. Okay. And now we're going to take our string. Let's see how long this string is. I don't think that will be long enough, but I'm going to attach a string to this string to make it long enough because it doesn't need to be super fancy. All right, so now it'll be trying to get this string through this hole. I should probably have a needle or something for that. Or you know what? Maybe if I attach it to this thing. Haha. Haha. I'm going to attach it to my pokey. And then drive it through. Okay, come on, don't slide. All right. Maybe I do need a needle. Well, hold on. Let me point the camera down so you guys see what I'm doing. Okay. Maybe I should not wear a dress today. Okay. I'm just going to make a little thing here. Maybe I need another pokey to get this through. Come on, get through the hole. Well, gosh. Huh? Oh, okay. Aha. You guys could also do this. Okay, that's more better. Okay. That's easier. I mean, you could put it all the way through. It's just I find now that I'm doing this with my hemp rope. I did this with fishing line with my uncles when I was younger. And it was easier with fishing line because it's more rigid to get it through the 2 holes. But this way works too. Okay. So I'm just putting it through one little hole and then I'm making it go out the tab here. Oh, oh. This guy's. Thank you, honey. Like magic, some pliers, some needle nose pliers appeared. Okay, and then I'm going to put that in like that. And we're going to evoke the power of the needle nose pliers. Oh, okay. All right. So we have some noisemakers. And I have some string. And I'm probably going to end up tying a knot to make my string longer. And you'll see in just a moment. What the heck are you guys talking about? Time Harvest says, if I pass Tro that trap wire, I will grab and run away with those precious bullets. They're casings. You'd have to make the bullets. Lilith says, the satisfying face she makes with the chaos she's about to ensue. Oh, yes. And Time Harvest says, I grab the can and run away, screaming, they will never catch me alive. Lilith is like, this dude wild. Sherry Bug says, I'm out in the barn and the turkeys, the goats, and the livestock guardian dogs say hi to everyone. Hello, everybody. Hello, animules. She says, Cinderella stuff. Lilith says, we say hi back to all the animal frenzies. Sherrybug says, no, D. And then Lilith says, that's what she said. Jesus, Tara. Sherrybug says, not Cinderella stuff, farm stuff. But you know what? That's like Cinderella stuff. Fun stuff. Time Harvest says, farm stuff is good stuff. I like it. And she says, me too. Keeps me sane. Time Harvest said, so peaceful and healthy. And he says, if I make a trap like that, I will probably use it as a belt and walk around the street with that thing. You know, that could be cool too. Hey, our buddy Mike Green is here. What's up, Mike? It's our buddy across the pond. And Sherrybug said, yes, unless I'm building. I'm not too good at building. You know, I try to build stuff. I can make like little stuff, but bigger things may need some help. Okay, let's turn this around. We're gonna make loud noises. Okay, I'm actually going to we have clapping from the peanut factory back there. So I'm gonna attach it to here, let's turn this around. I'm gonna attach it to our coffee table and to the stand that's holding up our television. Let's do it. Let's rock and roll, people. And then I'm going to trip on it. It'll be awesome. Okay. Let me adjust the camera so you guys can see all the glory that's about to ensue. Okay. There we are. Here I am. Hello. Okay, so one end, there's different ways that you can do a little tripwire alarm. This is just the way that I know. So I'm actually going to attach one end, and the other end is not going to be attached, because when the wire or the string basically gets pulled on with the leg or the foot, it's going to pull the cans down, thus making a very loud crashing sound, hopefully. Let's do it up here. So I'm just going to do this. Not a super intense knot, just whatever. Just something like that. Okay, now I'm going to move my cans down. Moving on down. And I'm actually going to put them on the sofa here. So I'm going to pull these cans down. And I'm going to wrap it around the leg of the coffee table. You'll see in just a moment. Okay. I like how I'm showing you all how to make booby traps. This is awesome. Booty traps. Huh? It's a booty alarm. It's the booty alarm, you guys. I'm just moving them down. Okay. I'm just wrapping it once around the leg of the table. Huh? Or just once, maybe. Just once. There we go. Sweet. Okay. Now I'm going to cut this string. That should be good. Or maybe I should put it higher on the couch, really. Huh? Okay. Okay. Let's not trip yet. Riley's reminding people not to run with scissors. I almost can't see it because the color of my hemp rope matches the color of the carpet. That's cool. I like it. Oh. Hey Vader. Do you want to come over here? Come on, Vader. Yeah, come on. Just like that. Thanks, Vader. And there you go. Let's say thank you to our lovely participants. Vaderski, his brother Liam, Inky ran away. Well, they didn't go crazy because they have chaos in their little hearts. So, well, there you go. Easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy alarm, tripwire alarm. So all you do is really just attach it to one side, kind of like, put it around a tree or something like that if you were outdoors. And then put it on top of like all the cans on top of some boxes, kind of unassuming, or whatever, some bins that you brought on your camping trip. And then as the bear or Sasquatch or random forest weirdo comes through, just boom, sound the alarm, and then boom, you sit up with your 45, Thanks, Vader. Thanks for helping. All right, let's pick up our cans. We'll pick up our chaos. That was super cool. Now I can figure out something else to use this cool string for. Okay, now you're on my string. Thank you. He's like, happy to be of service. Boop, boop. There we go. Yay! Okay. Well, that was fun. So yeah, it's pretty easy setup. All you need is some cans or some tins, a little pokey thing, some string, and some things that rattle. Brass, rocks, nuts and bolts, a couple of pennies. Let's see. Let's go back here. Um, Time Harvest is not a trap alarm. Lola says, is Mike feeling blue? Oh no, Mike, I hope everything is going grand over there. Let us know. Lola says, nah, it's a trap. It's all a trap. Sherry Bug says, I'm good as long as it doesn't have to be level or even or look good. That's me. I'm like, let's eyeball the evenness. We'll just add a couple of rocks. Kind of bring it up. um, Time Harvest says trap everywhere. Sherry Bug says it's a trap. Admiral Akbar voice. It's a trap. Lula says Sherry Bug got jokes. Mike says I'm okay. And Time Harvest says it's a trap, Mad Max. Wait, my bad. He actually says that's a bait. Quite similar. Mike says it's been hard missing my Bella. Oh, well, sending lots of love to you as well. I remember talking about Bella. So yeah, sending you lots of love as well. So glad you could be here with us. Hopefully we help lift your spirits. Lila says, I'm sorry for your loss. Time Harvest says, you caught it. The dog caught it. He fell for it, man. Lila says, this is like ultimate blue yoni alarm. Mike says, it's nice to be back. I've missed y'all. Well, we've missed you. Oh my goodness, everybody's back today. This is so cool. Sherbeck said, yay, poochies. Will says, glad to have you back, Mike. And oh, she was saying, hey, Kath. Hey, how are you? She's saying, hi, guys. Time Harvest says that dog's legs are bigger than mine. What? Yeah, Vader's got some long legs. He's a long-legged doggo. He says, that's a grown man right there. Lilith says, you never told me about your chicken legs. Time Harvest says, can show it. Lilith says, that's a pokey thing. That's what she said. Riley said, Lilith, that's not what your mom said. Lilith's like, not you too, Riley. Kath says, I concur. I've missed you all also. Yes, I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody's back today. This is so cool. I'm so happy you're all here. I missed you guys. And Lilith says, Dad, is it you? Well, I hope you guys try out this little trip alarm. They literally trip the alarm. They might trip too, depending on how klutzy they are. Whatever this is, it could be aliens invading your property, could be squatchies, could be the one-armed man, could be who knows. But like I said, before you put that around your actual property, do look into codes first. Do look at laws and ordinances and all of that. But definitely, I would probably do it when you're out camping. And I have done things like that. Like when I was first like camping on my property before it got structures and I could actually stay not in a tent on my property. I would just put little things around that made noise just in case, because I do remember when I first got the property, I saw bear tracks. And I'm not scared of bears, but I also don't want to tango with bears, So I'm just going to try to stay out of the way, try to like not entice them with food and garbage and stuff like that. So I just wanted to know like who was hanging out around me, with that alarm. But we have a mountain lion that lives up there, and she seemed to get around the alarms because she's a kitty cat. She's just, I'm gonna step right over this alarm. So anyway, but I saw her tracks in the morning. That's how I know she was there. I was like, dude, foiled again. But yeah, I hope you try it out. It was a lot of fun. Definitely maybe have your doggos or your chickens or your cows or somebody test it out. Could be fun. Invite some friends over. Be like, hey, yo, dude, come on over here. It could be fun. Imagine if your friends are stoned and they do that. That'd be so great. Anyway, Riley's like, I'm your daddy. What? I thought you were mine. Um, Lilith's like, all this time. Sherry Bug says, missed you. And Lilith says, zero dad issues. Mike says, thank you all for your love. And Cass says, the Mothman. Oh my goodness. Well, oh yeah. The Mothman isn't coming onto your property. All right. I have an herb to share with you guys. I want to talk about hawthorn berries. I know that hawthorn leaves and, people use that. I like hawthorn berries. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. I like to use it in my teas. Lilith says, wait, doesn't that make Tara my mom? Lilith, I am your mother. So you never knew, huh? Mike says, see you all again. Lilith's like, mommy, daughter, come to me. I had you when I was like 10. I started young. Let's see. Okay, hawthorn. Again, I keep forgetting about my tea that's back here. But luckily, this tea, this is the kind that I actually like when it's kind of cold, actually. So, and it was a little too hot to be drinking hot tea. So there you go. Good times. Okay. Boom. Hawthorn berry. Here are my dried hawthorn berries. I'll show you a picture of some fresh hawthorn berries in just a moment. But yes, you could use other parts of the hawthorn tree, but I like the berries. Okay, so let's read about it. Sherry Bug says, I so want to go to the Mothman Festival. Cool beans. Lilith says, I think the whole neighborhood heard me laughing. Nice. I think that when I laugh, I'm pretty sure the whole forest hears me. My stepmom makes fun of like my dad, my brother, and I. When we get together, we laugh maniacally. She's like, you guys sound like a bunch of hyenas, which only makes us laugh more. So let's see. Time Harvest says, I am my own dad and my own son, and I am my own wife. Cool. Cool. Because, we're all one, Cass says, I'm sitting in a freezer over here. Can't wait till spring and September. Dude, you need to take a trip out here and heat yourself up. I think it's time for a little road trip or a flight. Perhaps catch a flight. Yes. Time Harvest says, but I am not my own bank because that requires money. Dude, you are cash money. Mike says, I'm glad you're so happy and laughing. It makes myself feel so much better. Thank you. You're welcome. You are very welcome. Okay. I have this fun book called No Grid Survival Projects, but it has the back section talks about herbs that you might come across on your journeys in the wide open spaces. And so actually it does talk about hawthorn in here. And so here's a picture of those hawthorn berries when they're all red and beautiful. Okay. So the Latin name for hawthorn, it has a couple of Latin names for a couple of different varieties. It's Crataegus levitiga, levigata. Crataegus levigata and Crataegus pruinos. So I looked it up in my little cool book of plant Latin names. Crataegus just means like the leaves of the hawthorn, which are plentiful, as you can see in the picture, like they're very bushy. And Levitigata, let's see, what was that one? Because I read both of them. So that one meant smooth leaves. That's right. So it was smooth leaves. And the Crataegus, which is, the plentiful leaves, and Pruinos, what was that one? So one was the smooth leaves. Oh, that's right. It was that it was over in abundance. So it's like a truly abundant, plant. And it says it could be found all over Europe and North America. The berries from this tree are used to help with heart and circulatory issues. Hawthorn is known to help lower blood pressure and nourish the heart muscle. Harvest the berries anywhere from mid-spring to early fall. You can tincture them and take 5 milliliters up to twice daily for heart and circulatory health and maintenance. Back in the day, when I was ending my teaching career and I was like having some heart issues, mostly because I was all stressed out about some stuff that I was going through. Like I was taking a lot of motherwort. I had a motherwort tincture, but my main like tea that I was drinking was hawthorn for my heart. And I feel like along with some energy work that I was doing and lots of meditation, the tea also helps. So like for me, hawthorn is like hawthorn, heart, hawthorn tea. Um, let's see. Lilith says, Cass cordially invited to the Devil's Crevice. Cass says, ooh, nice. She's like, I've always wanted to go visit the Devil's Crevice. Crevasse. Melissa's, oh, what in the Harry Potter? Oh my goodness. Mike says, last time I saw you on, you had a silver streak. What happened? I still have it, but I have my bangs, so my hair is down. There's my streak. It's underneath my hair. It's still there. Still streaky, but I made bangs. But there it is. My little skunky's not going away. Okay, what else could we learn about hawthorn? For that, I'm looking at Making Plant Medicine by Rico Ketch. Very good book, by the way, if you are looking to make your own plant medicine. It talks about like tinctures and decoctions and teas and all that good stuff, syrups. Okay, hawthorn, which is in the family of rose, and I love roses. Like roses, like me, rose and jasmine. Rose and jasmine. Those are like my ride or die flowers. But anyway, so hawthorn is in that family, probably why I love it. The parts that are used are leaves and flowers harvested in the early flowering stage in the spring and used fresh or dried. Berries harvested when mature after the first frost, used fresh or dried. If you're going to make a tincture of it, it says the tincture of fresh hawthorn berries is problematic due to the high pectin content. The smashed berries clump together and the finished tincture is very prone to precipitation. So let's see how else you could utilize it. Well, if you make a tincture of the dried leaf and flower or the dried berries, oh, sorry, that's just the tincture of the just the berries. But if you're going to do the leaf and flower, as says the dry berries are ground up, including the stone. Constituents in the stone are cardiotonic, and the stone fragments break up the mash, improving maceration and yield. Well, that's good to know. If you're doing a water extract, basic tea of a dried leaf and flower or dried berries, decoctions of the dried berries. Because the berries are actually, you can hear them in here, they're clanking around. They're pretty hard. So usually you think do decoctions whenever you have really hard substances like bark, roots, really hard berries like that. Elderberries are really soft-ish, especially when dried. So you don't really need to do a decoction, although you could. And actually, they make a really good syrup if you do it that way. I've had like elderberry syrup. It's delish, especially if you put it in some homemade dark chocolate. But other than being delicious, it's really good for fighting off colds and building your immune system. But anyway, if you're doing direct consumption of the fresh berries, they are delicious and may be used in season to fortify your ticker. Probably the mildest way to take the herb if you do it that way. Chew 6 or 7 berries a day and spit out the stones, basically the seeds. If you're going to make a syrup, it's made by combining 1 part by volume of the strong decoction of the dried berries, or 2 parts by volume of honey, which would make more of an oxymel, which is what I'm actually making in the pantry right now. So I have some wild lettuce that I harvested, and that is sitting in like 90 proof vodka right now, just really trying to do like a really strong extraction. But that won't be ready till around the last week or second to last week of August. And around that exact same time is when my blueberry vinegar oxymel is going to be ready. That's going to be delicious. And it's made with honey. So usually whenever you put honey into something and you let it sit, it's more like an oxymel. Okay, practical uses. This is the premier herb for treating heart-related illness. Hawthorn is commonly and effectively used on an ongoing basis in recuperation from heart surgery or heart attack, and for treating degenerative heart disease, arteriosclerosis, weakness of the heart muscle, and irregular heartbeat. The herb regulates blood pressure and promotes a general sense of open-hearted well-being. Cool beans. Okay, the dried berries can be made into an excellent jam that preserves the heart tonic properties of the herb. Contradictions. Hawthorn may potentiate the effects of digitalis-based drugs such as digoxin and should not be taken concurrently with any pharmaceutical heart medications. Okay, yeah, probably too much of a good thing, you know. Let's see. Okay, cool. And I have one more thing to read to you guys, and that's from Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. And and so we'll have a little think about it, thinking about the properties of hawthorn berry, how it's used, and how we might use that as our ally this week. How are we going to be walking with hawthorn berry this week? Okay, so in this book, we look at maybe how our ancestors use this spiritually. It says hawthorn was once used to decorate maypoles. At one time, hawthorns were believed to be witches who had transformed themselves into trees. Witches have long danced and performed their rites beneath the thorn. It says back then, hawthorn had long been used to increase fertility. Because of this power, it was incorporated into weddings, especially those performed in the spring. The leaves, curiously enough, were also used to enforce or maintain chastity or celibacy. The leaves were placed beneath the mattress or around the bedroom for this purpose. Some carried it as a sachet on fishing trips because they thought that it could ensure a good catch. And worn or carried, they thought it to promote happiness in the troubled, depressed, or sad. And many believed that hawthorn also helped to protect against lightning. And in the house, they thought that no evil ghosts could enter the home if there was hawthorn, above the door and the windows. They also saw it as powerful for protecting against damage to the house from storms. And they said Romans had placed hawthorns in cradles to guard the child from evil spells. It says hawthorn is also sacred to the Fae and as part of the tree fairy triad of Britain, oak, ash, and thorn, where all three trees grow together. It is said that one may see berries. So, taking all of that into account, that it's I could definitely see how it was used spiritually speaking in the past in that way because of its main connection to the heart and alleviating illness and things like that it could basically guard against negativity and bring people together in heart-based ceremonies like marriages and things like that. So I can definitely see that. And something as heart-based as that growing in the forests, it's almost like the aspects of the heart of Gaia growing. So I could definitely see the Fae, those 4D entities being attracted to that. So very cool. So thinking about this upcoming week, maybe start thinking about how you could walk with that ally this week. How could you walk with hawthorn? In what areas could we look into our heart-based relationships, with our animals with the land, with the people that we work with our friends, with our family members? Are there areas that we feel maybe we skip a beat, in these relationships? Are there some relationships that we feel are stressing our heart, maybe literally or metaphorically? And also, maybe if we look at the nature connection with hawthorn, are there ways that we can build a deeper heart-based connection with the earth, with plants? Maybe it's not going all out and growing a whole massive garden, but maybe it's just starting with one little potted plant in your house. So lots of different ways that you could walk with hawthorn this week, and use it as an ally, call upon it. And remember, the creator made all of these wonderful plants for us to work with, be friends with, all these plants, animals, people on this planet. Although, sometimes we're like, we may roll our eyes at our fellow humans sometimes, but we're all made for a purpose. So just like hawthorn. So figure out how you could utilize hawthorn's purpose to help you this week. So maybe it's making a tea with it, or you're like, you know what, hawthorn doesn't even grow in my area. I don't have access to the berries. Well, in that case, just take the essence of it. So what is the energy of it? It's a heart-based energy. So just looking into being more heart-based this week. And that's interesting because I've had chocolate on my mind today, which actually isn't weird because I love chocolate. But I was like, I should make more dark chocolates. But interesting, I think about it today, and then I also decide to, call upon hawthorn. And those are two, well, basically the cacao bean and hawthorn are all about the heart. So this is very heart-based, energy that we might be going into this week. So walking with hawthorn, very cool. Let's see. Mike said, amazing. Are you getting younger? You look great. Thank you. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't remember. It must have been a couple of weeks or so ago, but I was drinking water. I was in the bedroom and I happened to glance in the mirror, and I really do think, I was like, I think I'm starting to look younger, or I'm delusional. But I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe it's the good weather or what I've been eating, and, all the concoctions I've been making or something. But I was like, I mean, I always feel like I'm an adolescent. I don't think I'm ever going to grow up, but yeah, it's just interesting. I was like, I think I'm looking younger. It's not just my bangs, but I was like, interesting. So thank you. Very kind of you to say so. Lila says, not Tara trying to conceal her wisdom. I like the skunk streak. I'm not trying to conceal it, but I couldn't figure out, because I like bangs. Like, I used to not like bangs, mainly because I couldn't cut them straight. But now that I can cut them straight, I'm like, oh, and now I like bangs, now that they're not all like tardy. But I couldn't figure out how to make my streak show, because I like my streak, but I don't have enough white streak for it to like pop out over. But I like it though. I'm not trying to conceal it. Sometimes I try to go like this and like, look. um Let's see. Sherry Bug says, "Ooh, I should go pick elderberries." Oh, you got elderberries growing around there? Oh, lucky. That's something that I want to grow around. I want to grow so many things around here right now. But elderberries, elder is something that I do want to grow. Faux show. Mike says, I remember the wild. I misspelt the wild. No worries. It's so wild. Siren said, back from dinner. Well, I hope it was delicious. Time Harvest says, I would eat that whole jar in a sitting. I bet you could. Straight to the heart. Straight to the heart. You're too late. You give love a bad name. No, that's not what hawthorn does. It does not give love a bad name. It's good for the heart. Lilith says, shares more banana bread with the chat. Delicious. Mike says, I'm so glad you remember me. Thank you. And Lilith says, you look happy. Oh, I am. Time Harvest says, I have that too, Tara. I'm 27, but my appearance is of a 16-year-old, super youngish. By the age of 50, I will look 22. I mean, that's cool. That's cool beans. Mike says, I mean, all of you. We love you, Mike. We love all of, well, I mean, I'm like, I love all of you guys. I know all of you guys love all of you guys. That's why this chat is so fun. Sharebug says, yes, lots of elderberries. I'm picking them as we speak. Oh, luckies. So lucky. Siren said, yes, cheese sandwich, macaroni salad, and fruit cocktail. Ooh, that sounds really good, actually. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, we're gonna eat some of my homegrown potatoes. I'm gonna saute it with maybe a little bit of rosemary in there, lots of butter, um, maybe some homegrown spice. I don't know, and yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I'm just gonna use my intuition, just throw some stuff together, see how it goes. But I think it's going to be delicious. I can't get over how cute those little teeny potatoes are. And probably just because, it was my first time growing potatoes and it was kind of in a confined space. So they didn't really get to get that big. And I may have grown too many potatoes next to each other. So they didn't get that big, but that's okay. Learning experience, but they're cute. They're super cute. They're like little russet potatoes. I like it. Okay, so we have gotten to the portion of our chat where we can do, okay, so this is my little donation section. So there are different ways that you guys could donate. You could do super chats and super stickers through YouTube, but I offer alternatives as well because YouTube, in its infinite greediness, takes half of all of your donations. So I have PayPal, if you guys prefer that. They don't rake me over the coals as hard. So there is a little QR code up there on the screen, and that's for PayPal. That takes you straight to my PayPal me. Or if you go into the description, just below this video, just click on the description, and how it has all the info, like my email, my website. It has donations, and it says all the different ways you can donate. So it has my it has my Venmo, and it has my Cash App. I was contemplating putting Zelle on there, but I think those are good. PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, or straight through YouTube, the super chats and super stickers, up to you. So you might be wondering, oh, mosquito bit me. I'm going to have to put some lemon on that later. So you might be wondering, well, what is this Q&A for our friends that have been gone for so long? Welcome back. So this Q&A is just a chance to ask, any type of rando question. The rando question could be about gardening. You could have a rando question about vehicles or jeeping. You could have a rando question about teas, or like, hey, I got a sprained ankle. How would I help to treat my sprained ankle? So I have lots of books here, so in case it's not in my cerebral, I could, pull it from a book and get that information for you. And we also have Riley, who has lots of random information floating around in his brain too. So, ask away. This is your chance. Okay, so let's see. Siren said, cycles repeat down the rabbit hole, false accusations keep being sold. The echelon unites to stand our ground. With the accusations, fall this round. Ooh, nice poem. Thank you. Very nice. I'm just rereading it. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And Time Harvest is, and by the age of 85, I will look 32. And Mike says, when's your next live? So technically it's at 2 p.m. Arizona Mountain Standard Time, which is the same time right now as Pacific Standard Time. Sundays. So Sundays at 2. England is, I think you guys are 8 or 9 hours I think, ahead of us. So yeah, just count backwards, 8 to 9 hours. But yeah, 2 o'clock Arizona time on Sundays. um, let's see, Time Harvest says, I was going to call myself a vampire, but I am a werewolf. Team werewolf. Well, you know what? We were listening to Werewolves in London earlier. That song stuck in my head. Oh, Werewolf London. Oh. Mike says, I will not miss. Well, we'll be happy to have you back. And Lila says, Tara, I've been dancing and singing a lot, but it isn't completely clear to me why it is. Thoughts also wondering if the reading about completing shadow work was accurate. Okay. The what? Okay. Oh, Etsy Time Harvest says, I was dancing and singing too when I stopped drinking tap water and start drinking distilled water. Mike says, buy you a coffee. Oh, you know what? I need to get on that. I know a lot of people do coffee donations, like the app coffee. I need to get on that so that people can do that too. Just another form. I just try to get like different ways people are comfortable in their donation. And Lilith was like, Twilight game? He says, yes, I am the werewolf from Twilight, the guy with the beard. Lilith's cracking up. Okay, so Siren has her question. She said, Jared Leto is being accused again of improper behavior. 10 girls are accusing him, and their evidence is a deleted tweet from 10 years ago. Will Jared beat the charges? Well, let's see. Let's think about an herb that helps us to see things clearly. Hence, you want to see clearly, what's going on with certain celebrities and the people that you are interested in. We want to have clear intuition, clear vision. We also want to be of clear mind, perhaps maybe without bias. What plant could help us to get into that energy so we could have clarity? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I know. Okay, hold on. It's probably in this book. Okay. Eyebright. Let me look it up. So Eyebright, pretty easy to get a hold of. Also used by people who work with horses. Oftentimes when horses get like eye infections and things like that, they'll use Eyebright with the horse, but it's also good for humans. But spiritually speaking, people use Eyebright in like incense blends during prayer or meditation, just to have like clear vision, to help clear things up. And so when you're wanting to, clear up understanding or to see clearly, the trajectory of a certain celebrity or, like I said, somebody that you're interested in, then yeah, we want to have that clear, unbiased vision, clear mind, things like that. So clear sight. Let's look up Eyebright. I'll read you a little bit about it, and then I highly encourage you to read up on it as well. And if you can get your hands on some Eyebright, it actually makes a really good tea. But also, you would probably have to look up the proper way to do it to self-administer. But usually, like when you have like pink eye or an eye infection, Eyebright's really good for the eyeballs. Okay, Eyebright, Eyebright. First star I see tonight. Okay, page 214. Aha. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And I have Eyebright. I have powdered Eyebright. It just looks like dirt, really. It's powdered form. Okay, so creeping semi-parasitic annual growing to 20 inches. It has tiny oval leaves and small scallop-edged white flowers with yellow spots and a black center, somewhat resembling an eye. It's cultivated in Europe. Eyebright thrives in meadows and open grassland, and it is gathered in summer when it is in flower. And we happen to be in summer, well, here in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's connected to the season as well. So the parts that are used are aerial parts. Eyebright contains iridoid glycosides, flavonoids, tannins, lignans, and phenolic acids. Aucubin has antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and antispasmodic activity. Eyebright's use for eye problems was due in part to the doctrine of signatures, an ancient belief that the way that a plant looks, its sign, indicates the ailments for which it should be used as medicine. Eyebright relieves inflammation and tightens mucous membranes and finds specific use in the treatment of conjunctivitis and blepharitis. Its ability to counter mucus means that it is often used for infectious and allergic conditions affecting the eyes, middle ear, sinuses, and nasal passages. Eyebright counters liquid mucus, but it should be used guardedly for dry and stuffy congestion, which tends to be made worse by the plant's astringency. So, like I said, creators put all these things on the planet for us to work with it. We have an energy, creator has an energy, everything on this planet has an energy to it. So again, if that's the energy you want to get into, you want to be able to see this clearly, and see it through clearly about what's going on with your favorite celebrity, then perhaps that's the plant that you want to walk with. So for us this week, we're going to be walking with hawthornberry, but perhaps you might want to walk with eyebright and see what it could reveal to you, what it will show you. So it's not going to do the work for you, just like, tarot readers and channelers are not going to do the work for you. We could say, hey, here you go. But, definitely walk with it and see what you come across. And I would definitely encourage journaling. So whenever you're walking with any plant ally, say what plant you've been working with, how you felt, maybe some changes, maybe how you saw things more clearly, some things that maybe were, some things that were right in front of our face, but we didn't see it before. Eyebright really helps with that too. Like I said, in a spiritual sense, but also physically, we want to see clearly. We want to, be clear mind, as well. So eyebright is really good for that. So definitely try working with it and see how it goes. Let's see, Time Harvest says, I had 10 girls accusing me of stuff this year too. I was like, wait, what? She skipped me. No, Lilith, you're next. No worries. And Siren says, the tweet wasn't even Jared's, it was Dylan Sprouse. So, definitely it seems like the people in that situation not seeing things clearly, the people accusing or people, possibly maybe, things, but maybe it got taken out of context, or but we want clarity for them, clarity for the situation, clarity for you. So yeah, work with eyebright and see what you come up with. And Time Harvest says, Lilith, you're one of them. She's like, excuse you? And Siren said, and James Gunn replied to that tweet, but then deleted the reply. Interesting. Time Harvest is kidding. And Lilith says, Time Harvest is playing with his front teeth. And he said, I'm laughing out loud for sure. Front teeth showing. And Mike says, I'm trying to help. PayPal will help. Okay. Yeah, sure. PayPal. Yeah. The little QR code that you see up there, that goes straight to my PayPal. So I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Remember, you're under no obligation to, partake in the Q&A section, but I do greatly appreciate it. And I thank you for allowing me to dive into these questions. So Lilith is next. Yes, of course. And Time Harvest says, do in Portuguese. And she says, Kona. He says, oh, gostam. She's like, oh, say. Mike says, I hope you're enjoying your life now. The energy from you is intense. It is. Am, I was actually just talking about this the other night. I'm like, I am so happy. Like I know there's more things I'm going to do and learn and everything, but like right now in this moment, like I don't know how to be happier. Like I'm very content. Things are fantabulous. I love you. I said it first. um, Lilith, okay, so let's look at your question, Lilith. She says, I've been dancing and singing, but isn't it completely clear? So not understanding why she's just like dancing and singing a lot. Also, wondering about that reading about shadow work that she got from some readers. Okay, so let's dive into that. Okay, first the singing and dancing. Let me think on it because there was something rattling around in my noggin about that. Um, oh, yes. Okay. So picture this. I don't know how school does it like at the end of a school year in your neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, when it would be the end of a school year for both teachers and students, we were singing and dancing. Like students would be playing their music, they're, throwing their papers out as they're exiting, the school, they're dancing, they go to parties afterwards, and then there's teachers that are singing in their classroom because they're in a good mood because no more students, and they're going home and, summer vacation or, whatever vacation it may be. But I'm thinking like tail end of school. Also think of like, other times people are singing and dancing. It's usually at the conclusion of something, like I'm retired now, or no more school, or I finally figured out how to change a tire, or I finally built something that was level for once. Like, woo! That's usually when we talk about people doing like their happy dance. And usually when we're singing, we're in a good mood. When I was singing for the opera, I realized that uh, I sang better on days where I was in a better mood than days that I was not in such a good mood. There was nothing wrong with my voice. It was my energy dictated my output, what was happening. So in your case, if you find yourself singing and dancing, it could be that you are at the conclusion of something, you are ending a chapter. And so although it may not be clear on what it is that you just finished, but you're happy about it, energetically it shows. It's coming out as like singing and dancing because it's a type of release when, people are, energy is so built up, like I'm so happy, I'm so relieved, I'm so done with this in a good way. We got to get it out. And the way that we get it out is through singing and dancing because it's a very physical thing. You're using your voice, which is your throat chakra, and you're also using the body. And usually when we talk about dancing, that's your sacral chakra, so it's all just like kind of coming out. So it feels like you've definitely finished up something and it's put you in this mood of release, and that energy of release is just coming out as singing and dancing. Okay, so then to talk about what those other readers that you shared with me had shared with you, how they were saying that you were kind of like at a conclusion, and also that kind of coincides with what I was talking about earlier about sometimes we get so caught up in the healing process that we forget about the living process, that it's like, oh man, that's another shadow to heal. And oh man, I got to heal that shadow too. And oh, I got that trauma too. If we focus on that all day long, of course, that's going to bog us down. We're going to be not such high spirits because it's like we only see what we perceive to be the negative portions of ourselves, the things that aren't fixed yet or aren't healed yet, so we go down this rabbit hole of healing. But I think that what these readers brought to light with you is like, hey man, you've done a lot, don't forget to live, was basically I think what they were trying to say with that message is, that sure, we're never like done. we're never done, with healing, no matter what dimension we're in or what incarnation we're in. We're never done. But the whole part of living that life or living this life is not to disregard the life so that all we can focus on is the healing, because that's infinite. Like there's infinite stuff to heal. I mean, if you really think about it. Um, so we work on things as they come up, but we don't try to seek out the things to heal, if that makes sense. So it's not seeking out like, oh, what else is quote unquote wrong with me? What else could I fix? What else could I heal? Instead, it's like, as things come up, oh, okay, well that kind of bothered me. I'm gonna dive into that, kind of work on it. But at the same time, the majority of my focus is right here in the present, you know, and I will continue to work slowly on my healing, but it's not my main focus. My main focus is to be here on earth because that's where I am right now. And I have this job, this mission we all do to, and I can't say like what your specific individual mission is, spoil it for everyone, but that's part of your journey too, is to seek out your purpose and seek out your mission and live and have fun and experience all the emotions and the joys and the ups and downs. And yes, we're healing things in the process, but that's not the main focus. And I think that's what those readers are trying to convey to you. It's like, hey, you've done a lot. Like, let's live now. Like, let's get back to the human element. Let's get back into this space. And after hearing that, even though you might have been confused by what they said, your soul wasn't confused. That's why your soul, being energy, is like, woo woo, she got it. So let's sing and dance. So those two things actually are connected. So yay. Okay. So let's go back here. Hey, Punky. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely dive into your question. Mike says, I said it before you, that means I was right. And Sherry Bug says, I'm so happy you have found your joy, Tara. Thank you. And I have found my person too. And well, should I say? Yeah, I'll say. So Mr. Riley has proposed. And so, yeah, I have found my person. I am very happy. And it's, well, the irony of life, I wasn't seeking that person. Just, like what I was literally just talking about with Lilith, with her question. She was like, why am I singing and dancing? I was literally singing and dancing on my hill. I was so happy. I was in a great place. I was like, I'm just like happy to be alive right now. And I'm just, going to live it up. And, and I was just, I'm just in a good place. And then lo and behold, not looking, Riley shows up. And it's been quite magical, because here we are, two full, completed human beings, not looking for wholeness in the other, or looking to complete oneself with another person. I think that it's great. It's just like really great. And my friends who've known me since basically I first started dating guys like way back in high school, the ones who've like known me forever, they're like, we've seen your whole dating history and it leaves a lot to be desired, but they're like, we really like Riley. That's the very first one. We're like, she got it. So there you guys go. I'm sharing that with you. That also happened on the 18th. um, let's see. Time Harvest says it's getting better. It's getting better all the time. The Beatles. And Lilith says, wait, are you saying I graduated the Black Lodge? OMG, I'm about to cry. Bingo. Okay. So Punky, and Sherry Bug was saying hello to Punky. All right. So Punky, what you got? She says, okay, thanks. I have a question too. If it's only PayPal now, then rutro. No, that's fine. It could be super chat, super stickers. It could be PayPal. It could be Venmo or Cash App, which is down below. I'm going to try to do that app Coffee, which Mike reminded me of. What? Yeah, we could even do Zelle, which I will add in the description later as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to find different ways people feel comfortable in their donation, because some people are like bleh with YouTube. So so I'm finding alternative ways, but definitely if you still want to do super chat, super stickers, they still work. So still cool beans. Um, Sharebug says, I just watched one of my ducks jump into a big kid pool that is empty to drink some rainwater. They are literally 8 others that are completely full. Wow. They find the one empty one. Nice. Little duckies. Oh, hey, Liam. Somebody making noises over there. Lilith says, W for the win. Sharebug says, it's like, thank you for donating to Tara. Thank you. um, Punky said, oh, yeah, okay. Lilith says, congrats to the lovebirds. Cass says, woohoo, congrats. Sherrybuck said, oh my gosh, congratulations. Thank you. um, Time Harvest says, love is a burning thing. Oh, I hope it's not that kind of burning love. Lilith says, your first mission as newlyweds is to adopt me. Yes. Well, I already said I'm your mama. Funky says, congrats to you both. Thank you. And I'm growing a collection of cigar rings from Riley. So as he's been smoking cigars, he's been putting a cigar ring on my finger. I've kept them all. So I have like 4 or 5 cigar rings. You know, I have my choice of cigar engagement rings. But yes, at some point he says he will get a ring. And I was actually talking to one of my good friends the other night, and she was asking, "Well, what's Riley doing right now?" And I said, "Well, he's on the internet. He's probably watching videos." And I said, "Oh wait, no, he's on Temu." And she goes, "He's on Temu. Is he getting your ring off of Temu?" I said, "No, he's not getting my ring off of Temu." And she went, "Okay, I was about to say." And she was like, "He's like probably like score $5." So, oh, he said it was $3.99. Nice, honey. um, he only gets the best for his girl. um, so yeah, I said yes. Of course, it was an easy yes, because I'm easy, but not in that way, for on the 18th. And we've decided we'll get married somewhere in the forest, maybe this forest right here, by the creek, which would make it easy because, you can just come straight home. You just walk over, come home, maybe have the party over here. There's plenty of parking. We could just like party all night long, or we go to a different forest. I don't know, but that's all that's planned right now, is like be in the forest, and our faith pastor is going to be the one to marry us. And yeah, so I think that's all we really need is forest, good food, and music. Party hardy. Okay. So Punky, yes, let me know what your question is. I'd be happy to dive into it. Like I said, it could be anything. We could be talking auto, we could be talking GP, we could be talking teas, we could talk ailments, analyzing dreams, Time Harvest said, oh, by Johnny Cash. I went down, down, and the flame went higher. I went down, down, down in the burning flame of fire. Do, 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 do. Yes, I'm going to have that song stuck in my head now. Thank you for the earworm. He says, the taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. Fell for you like a child, oh, but the fire went wild. And Lilith says, you're taking away the ability for Riley to make yo mama jokes to me without it involving you now. I love it. Time Harvest said, all the animals gonna be watching you in the forest. Oh, I hope they do. It's just like they were watching us when we were in Colorado, and like all the Jeeps were going by, and there was like these chipmunks that were just sitting there eating, and they were literally like just standing on rocks on the side of the road. They weren't getting out of the way for the vehicles. They were just like munch, 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 like wow, what a show. Like, look at all these people in vehicles. Why they don't use their legs, we don't know. They're just like eating and watching. I'm sure that's what they're gonna do, at our wedding. Just all the animals are just like popcorn. um, oh, sorry, I was looking back at something, but I already read that. Okay. Let's see. Time Harvest says animals are such silly gooses. They're looking at us like we're the silly gooses. It's a two-way street. um, Punky said, okay, my brother thinks his life is unlikely to change. I know he is desperately unhappy. Is that true? Okay, so let's dive into that. Um, it has been my experience, and I think that it was great the years that I was a teacher, and I got to see so many different personalities, so many ways of interacting with students, the different ways that people try to cover for things or try to create a particular persona or facade of themselves. And it's not so different between teenagers and adults. Like I said, most of us, I mean, we may get older and our bodies may change, but really we're still kids at heart, and we behave, you know, uh, in kind. So with your brother, and somebody saying something like their life is unlikely to change, that usually means it is coming from an unhappy place, usually. So, like, let's take Lilith for example. She's talking about, she doesn't know why, but she's been singing and dancing, and if you are to ask her, do you think that your life is always going to be the way that it is at this moment right now? She would probably say, well, no, it probably will change, or if we ask, any people in the chat right now, do you think that your life is going to be unlikely to change in this moment? They're probably going to say, no, there's probably going to be some changes, some things that come out of left field, things like that. But the reason somebody would say something like that, and I actually had students say things like that, and adults that I knew that had said things like that, where they said, I just don't think that things are likely to change, either in the outer world or in my inner world. And it's not because people might say, I'm unhappy and I want to stay in this unhappy place or in a place where things are unlikely to change. But think about the ego. Does the ego like change? Of course not. And we all have ego. Our ego likes complacency because it likes a predictable future. It likes repetition. It likes routine because it makes it feel comfortable. Consciously, we may be very unhappy, let's say about something, about a job or a relationship, or we feel like we want to get out of rent. So we hope that external forces will happen to get us out of that rut, because we're afraid to make that change ourselves, because change is scary. Don't know what's on the other side of change, but I do know what would happen if I make no changes, the exact same thing that has always happened day in and day out. And that's comfortable for me. I may not like it, I may be unhappy, but at least I know what's going to happen tomorrow, if I keep doing the exact same thing. Now, if we decide that I'm open to change and my life is likely to change, and change is outside of my hands, and really that is the reality, is that we can't control everything as much as our ego would like to think so. So in that statement, my life is unlikely to change, or things are unlikely to change, it's the ego trying to convince itself that it has control over the world and control over everything that happens to it, which is coming from a place of someone who's very afraid of what could happen if things were to change. Because does it mean things are going to change for the better? Will they change for the worse? I don't know. So I'm just hoping they just don't change at all. So it doesn't mean that somebody necessarily is depressed. It just means somebody is feeling stuck and they're too afraid to get out of that unstuck. So your job in this could be just to at least let your brother know that you could offer to help make some changes, but you can't make them for him. And if he is not willing at this time to change, of course, you can't force him because it would be a violation of his free will. But you can at least show him or at least share with him times where you thought things just weren't going to change. And, and I've seen that, in kids that I've taught where they were like, oh my gosh, they thought that maybe in teenage years, things just last forever. They're like, oh my gosh, my life is ruined, because something has happened and they think that that's going to last forever. But of course it doesn't, because that's the way life is. It's always evolving. It's always changing, whether we like it or not. So I would say that maybe your brother isn't depressed, but definitely feeling stuck. I definitely get a sense of feeling stuck and fearful of what could happen if change were to occur, feeling out of control. So this person, your brother, is trying to control his reality because he must be feeling rather out of control. So either the world around him feels out of control, his personal life feels out of control. It doesn't mean it's chaotic, just means I want to try to control things because possibly maybe something happened in the past. Didn't need to be a huge trauma, but maybe just a little something where he felt out of control. Sometimes when we're really young, we feel like things are out of control. Things kind of just happen to us, but our parents are usually there to help pick us up, or when we fall, or to help make things feel more safe. But if we're in an environment where maybe a parent didn't do that, maybe not necessarily out of malice, but maybe they just weren't paying attention. In the child's world, it's like, oh my gosh, something happened. I fell down. I hurt myself, but nobody was there to pick me up. That was really scary. So from now on, I'm going to make sure that I never walk, because then I'll never fall. And then I control my reality. So that's just taking it to the extreme, but it could be something like that kind of translated into, where your brother is at right now, which is, I felt at one point in my life, maybe several points in my life, where something happened. It was very scary because I felt like it was out of my control. Nobody was there to help me with it. Nobody was there to save me, from it. And so now I want to make sure things don't change in my life, because I don't want to feel that out of control feeling. In a way, he's trying to protect himself, but it's through kind of a fear-based emotion. And also, just a way of trying to control that environment, which would definitely make somebody feel kind of trapped and sad, even though they are kind of trapping themselves. So if you want, offer sometimes, to discuss sometimes in your life where you're like, you know what, I thought things wouldn't get any better. And, and I was kind of hoping they would, but at the same time, I was maybe scared if they would, because I didn't know what the outcome would be. And it felt scary to kind of release control. So maybe just talk to him a little bit about it, or find somebody who he's really close to that might be able to discuss that with him. That way he's being given opportunities to see things differently from a different perspective, but change will have to be on his end. He would have to be the one to make that change. Um, and it may not be right away. I mean, you of course want to see good things for family members, so you'd want to see change right away. You'd want to see him uplifted and happy and ready for, whatever life throws at him. But sometimes it takes people time, as you know, as like for all of us, things take time. So it'll be in his time, but definitely give him the opportunity to see things from a different perspective. Let's see. Let's look back here. I'm worried about him once our parents pass, and they are too, and it's his girlfriend. So that is difficult, because I have I have had family members where it was very similar, and sometimes they did involve like a significant other, where I don't know, they like I'll give my cousin for example. My cousin is passed now. But this was a long time ago, but he was at a point in his life where he thought things just aren't going to change. They weren't going to change in his relationship. They weren't going to change in some unhealthy habits that he had. He felt like he had no control over the way he reacts. Sometimes he would overreact. He would get into fights with like physical fights, with people, and he would get in trouble, but with the law with that. And that had happened since he was a teenager. And this like went on into well into his adult years. And people in the family were worried. Some people thought maybe throwing money his way would help him. Some people thought giving him housing and having him live with them would help because then they could watch him. But they're not his, I was going to say like his master. Like they couldn't control him, especially if he's a man. Like they can't say you can't go out with your friends or you can't do this. He had to learn for himself. He had to learn all of his lessons himself. And although people gave advice, they showed different ways of being, I think it really helped later on in life with him. It took him a long time to do things a little bit differently. But it's because, number one, he had a strong family unit. He knew that people were there for him if he needed, but people stopped trying to coddle him. They stopped trying to be like, you know, live his life for him or, fight his battles for him because they're afraid for him. And it comes out of love. People don't want to see bad things happen to their family members and they love them. And so some people feel like, well, if I just shelter them or I take all their fights or take all their, woes and concerns, then I save that person. But we end up keeping that person from learning what they need to learn. And so, in essence, he just ended up having to learn all his lessons for himself. It was difficult for family members to watch. I know, and it could be very painful. But in the end, he did learn those lessons. And every single family member that was a difficult family member where people were really worried about them, eventually, I saw in my own lifetime them start to make changes because they did learn from those lessons. It took maybe some of them a really long time, but they did. And they learned to kind of get out of that bubble, see things differently. But I also think it was helpful that so many family members let that person know we're here for you. And they also offered alternative perspectives. And so, kind of mixed into life experience and all those conversations that happened with family members, I think helped those family members in my family make the changes that they needed to get out of what looked like things would never change kind of energy. And they did change. So, yeah, my cousin changed. A couple of my uncles changed. Um, a, a spouse of a cousin, had changed. So I know that the same will be true for your brother. It just may take some time and it may not be in the time frame that everybody in the family would hope it to be. But we have to have faith in that person's journey and what they are meant to learn, in this lifetime, and that they will get through it. Because if we lose faith in them, how can they have faith in themselves? So I think your brother's going to be okay. It might be some, low lows and some high highs, but eventually he's going to get through it. And it may take a long time. It may be after your parents pass away, but it will happen. And like I said, I know it's difficult to watch, but at least your parents, your family members are offering alternative perspectives and at the same time letting him know if he truly needs help, if he ever wants to reach out, you guys are there for him. So just keep reinforcing that. That is the best thing that you can do. She says, I know he is not clinically depressed now. I just know that things are not right. He barely smiles or laughs. It's heartbreaking to watch. Even his friends tell me, not him though. Yeah, so this is, and that's something I had to watch too with with my cousin, with my uncles, where they went through the dark night of the soul, basically. And of course, that's not something that we want for them. We want to alleviate their pain, right? Because we love them. So um, again, it's offering that help. Can't make them take the help. You can even offer counseling. You know, it's up to them to get that counseling, get that help, um, and maybe even contacting somebody that they really trust and confide in. Maybe like even beyond a best friend, and seeing if they'll talk to that person. But again, it's up to them. It's up to, and we can't make them do anything, as difficult as that is. Um, let's see. She said, "Thanks, Tara. I appreciate it a lot. He is my best friend." He sounds like it, and although he is going through what he's going through right now, I think he knows that too, and that is something that, because I myself personally have been through some really dark nights of the soul, where I would say at some times I had clinical depression, when I was like in college and stuff. And it helped to know that I at least had one person, like if I really, really, really needed to call somebody, that person would pick up the phone and that person would listen to me. And I know that sometimes I would think like, well, I don't want to bother that person. Like, I don't want to like throw my problems on that person. So I wouldn't call them and I wouldn't reach out, but I knew that they were there. And that was kind of like the lifeline that I needed, because it could feel very lonely, because we get into this headspace where like nobody understands us, nobody understands what I'm going through. And I also don't want to put my problems onto people, when of course we know that's not true, but that's just the way our ego operates. It thinks that we are a burden, and we are not. Of course we'd be delighted to help other people. That's just the way we are. We're humans. We want to help others. So we lie to ourselves and think that we are burdens. And so I had lied to myself, thought like I don't want to burden anybody, but I knew deep down that I had at least one person I could really confide in. And that is the person who is my best friend still to this day. And so now we're so much more open and honest in communication. We've grown. I've learned that lesson. He's learned that lesson, because he was the exact same way, where he'd get it. He was pretty depressed for several years. And, it took him a while to learn that he can reach out and I'm not going to feel burdened, and I'm not going to like bite his head off. And then I learned that too, that I could reach out and he's not going to feel, you know, all put out because I'm like, hey, buddy, I need to talk, so I'm happy to know that he knows, and I know he knows that you're there for him, and that you're other family members. But, like you said, he's your best friend and you're his best friend. So he knows you're there. And when he's ready, he'll call upon you. So, um, let's see. Punky says actually fine, or a woman's fine. Oh, at time for time harvest. Okay, so let's look back at some of your questions and comments. Lila says, I can imagine y'all getting married by a beautiful lake in Colorado. Colorado was amazeballs. But also we have to keep in mind too, like, people got to be able to get there though. Or who knows, maybe we just decide to go by ourselves. I don't know. Time Harvested, watching humans is their favorite entertainment. I know, right? We're like staring at animals. They're staring at us. They're like, look at that human go, look at that human eat that food. Aren't they cute? Look at them. They put little clothes on and they get into these little like vehicles and they go around. It's so cute, these humans. I imagine the conversations animals have about us. Lilith says, it's been pretty bleak though, won't lie. Felt like winter in my life, but definitely think changes are on the horizon. It was more like a boot camp of knowledge, but seasons change. Yes, they do. Time Harvest says, change is movement. Move, move, move. And Lewis says, I also heard somewhere along the way that depression is a need of rest or deep rest. Yes, when we're depressed, we need deep rest. And that resonated, and a helpful way to look at it too, less pressure. Definitely. And Mike said, much love. Punky says, he doesn't like to hurt anyone. He helps and is extraordinarily kind. Yep, I understand that. Like I said, that's why I kind of threw that out there, that he is somebody who feels like he would burden somebody by letting people know what's going on, how he's feeling, what he's thinking. But at some point, he's going to get to that point where it's like, he's got to reach out. And sometimes we have to hit some really low lows before we're like, I need help. Like I need to reach out. And that's when that lifeline is so important. They need to know that that person is there, that you are there. And I know that you will be there. So I've got all kinds of positivity for your brother. And Lilith says, sending positive vibes to your brother's way, Punky. And Time Harvest says, in the end, everything will be fine. Yeah, I know it's trite, but it's true. Punky said he knows. Oh, hey, it's 850X. How are you? It says, what is one ritual you would recommend to someone to do during a dark, depressive episode to bring some light and positivity in? For me, it's like I said, because I've been in some pretty dark places. It was doing something that really lit me up. And I guess you could call it a ritual, or you could call it a form of therapy. But I always loved singing, but I wasn't feeling obviously in a singing mood, as I was just talking to Lilith, that, sometimes we're just not in the space to open up that throat chakra and sing. But there are other things that I do love to do. I love to draw. I love to paint. I love to sew. I love to do arts and crafts. And so, when I would get in those states, um, sometimes I would just grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and I would just start drawing something and focusing on that and focusing on the lines. And I'm not saying you have to draw, but it was just like focusing on that really helped me to look at things differently, especially because I had to be looking at my drawing. Sometimes I didn't want to do any of that. Like I didn't want to sew, I didn't want to draw, I didn't want to, and so I would go out into a place where I've always been happy, which is out into the forest. Or when I used to live near the beach, I would go out to the beach, and maybe I wouldn't feel like surfing and I wouldn't feel like getting in the water, but just sitting on the sand and listening to the waves, watching the seagulls, and just kind of being in that present moment, like feeling the salty air. It helped not to fix things. It wasn't like a cure for anything. It didn't fix anything, but it did help shift my energy enough to where I could start looking at things a little bit differently. And maybe it wasn't like a quick change overnight, but I took that with me, each and every day, of like bringing myself back, sometimes mentally, back to the beach, back to sitting on the shore, back to listening to the pelicans and the seagulls, and listening to the waves and the kids playing in the ocean, back to that kind of really happy place for me to be like, okay, I'm okay, I'm grounded, I'm here. And then I would start making like a little bit more changes. So maybe you don't live near a beach, but definitely maybe a place that you feel really good in. So that's why I say, like, maybe it's an activity that has always brought you joy, or it's going to a place, maybe just a little walk, or just sit down if you don't feel like walking, in a place that's always brought you joy, because you're taking yourself out of that energy, and everything is energy. So, like I said, it could be, a form of ritual or just a form of therapy, but it's taking myself out of my funk space, where, like, if I'm feeling funky right here, I'm in a little funk space. I've made funk space around me, and it's not a happy space, let's say, if I was, not feeling so good. But if I go like 50 yards that way, that place has always made me very happy. So just being 50 yards over there automatically puts me in a different space. Maybe I start looking at things a little bit differently, which it's like you can't help it. It just kind of happens. So I would definitely recommend that, going to a place that you feel you just have always been happy. It's always brought you joy, or something that you do that's always brought you joy. Maybe it's just working on something. Maybe it's building something. Maybe it's drawing something. Maybe it's just plunking around on the piano. But yeah, so keep looking at all the things that bring you joy until you like land on the one that's like, okay, I feel like doing that right now. I could at least go for a walk, or at least can go for a sit on a rock, somewhere, and stare at the animals, stare at the trees, and you've put yourself in a different energy, which is going to help you. So let's see here. 850X says, thank you. I love that. You are very welcome, my friend. Time Harvest is both. To the actually fine or woman's fine. Time Harvest. Bring in the ha-has. All right. So do we have any other Q&A questions? So again, if you feel like donating for a question, it could be PayPal, it could be through YouTube, that's up to you, or it could be any of those links that are in my description. If you go to the donation section of my description right below my video right now, or this live chat, you'll see like the Venmo and the Cash App, and soon I will add my Zelle, and I will add the coffee, because there's quite a few people that do send me a coffee. And I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. So thank you. And Time Harvest says, I was going to ask a Lyran question, but you don't channel anymore, so it's okay. Well, I would say if it were to be a question on Lyrians, I would probably end up just recommending a plant ally, as I am closest to plants. So I'm always recommending plant allies. I'm probably just like half plant, that would help get you in an energy where you would be able to open up your own intuition so that you could connect more easily to that energy, so that you would be able to, ask your questions, and then they would be able to receive your answers. Sherry Bug says, next time, girl, next time. And Lilith says, I'm wondering where Time Harvest gets his spice from. Yeah, like do you buy your spice? Were you born with this spice? Was this spice bestowed upon you? Like, for sure. Stay hydrated, my friends. Well, I think we've got to, what do you say? Lilith, I'm literally eating spice peppers right now. Are you watching me? The spice comes from within, Lilith. Punky's like, the spice comes from McCormick. Nice. This is hot as it gets. Well, I should probably keep Time Harvest away from my chili peppers then. You get too spicy. Well, we have come to the point in our chat where I think we can do a little meditation, and maybe we'll do it with our friend Hawthorne. Maybe Hawthorne will help us out, get us into that heart space. I was just about to say, well, like maybe we could look at a focus for the heart space, but then I was like getting this feeling of like, no. You want them to build their sovereignty and their intuition, right? So it's like, just guide them in opening up the heart, being open to whatever may come through, and seeing what their heart wants to share with them, what their soul is sharing with them at this time. Maybe your soul's just going to share a joke with you because that's how cheeky your soul is, or maybe, it's just going to give you a little feeling or a little nudge in a particular direction for today, this week, this month, we'll see. But I leave that up to you and Hawthorne when you guys walk together in this meditation. all I'm going to do is help you open the door, and then it's up to you to be able to have a little convo. Have a little convo with your soul slash heart slash Hawthorne. um, Lilith says maybe spicy chicken legs. The point of no return. Punky's like, ooh. And Time Harvest says, big time spicy chicken legs. Big time. Punky's like, I like how you want a Snow White style wedding. Yeah, I'm totally gonna be like calling in the ravens and the birdies and just all you forest creatures, come help me with this wedding. Lilith's like, calm down, lay off the peppers. Okay, we're gonna get calm now, so let's bring the spice down a notch. You can get back to your spicy. So let the spice rebuild. Let's see. Maybe I'll bring down the tripod just a little bit so you guys can be at Hawthorne's level. Maybe light a little candle, a little incense. I got some sweetgrass incense for y'all. Oops, that's the wrong button. There we go. There we go. Hi. Hello down there. Oops. There's our noisy cans. Time Harvest says, I walk through the valley of the spiciest and spiciest in heat, but I fear no evil, for I am hot. Wow. Time Harvest. Nice one. Okay, let's make sure you guys are all right. That looks good. Okay, let's light this candle. I picked a nice smelling candle too. Really giving me the summer vibes. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my sweetgrass incense. And we're going to get it lit, yo. Ooh. There we go. Smell into the smell-o-vision. I wish you guys could smell that. That smells so nice. I love sweetgrass. Okay. Just going to let that burn right there. And let's see. I'm feeling the drum because the drum, for many Native Americans, represents the heart space. It is the heartbeat of the earth. And I got my little wolf drum here. Okay. Oops, sorry. All right, you guys, go ahead and find yourselves a nice, comfortable space, a place you'll be undisturbed for the next several minutes. You could be lying in your bed, sitting in a chair, seated on the floor. Maybe you're outdoors under the shade of a nice, cool tree, perhaps a hawthorn tree or elderberry. And as you begin to settle yourself, go ahead and bring your awareness to the breath. Feeling the rise and fall of your chest. Every breath helping you to sink deeper and deeper into the space that you have chosen. All the external noises you may hear, vehicles and airplanes, children playing outside, only aid you to sink more and more deeply into this relaxed state. Perhaps you have thoughts popping up, your to-do list, something that you want to get done later, work on, think on. We just acknowledge them, nod our head, and allow them to continue to float on by. There will be time for those thoughts later, but for now, this is our time to rest and recoup. As you breathe in, imagine golden light filling your body from head to toe with every exhale, feeling almost like cool water rushing over the top of our head, down to our shoulders, helping to relax our jaw, our shoulders dropping away from our ears. Inhaling that golden light once again, feeling energized and at the same time calm and peace as we feel that cool water rushing down our limbs and our torso, our hips, our legs. Continue breathing in this fashion, inhaling that beautiful golden light, feeling rejuvenated, rebirthed. And every exhale, that rush of water, just helping us to melt into the ground below us. And as you continue breathing, imagine that you are lying against a hawthorn tree. Its multitude of deeply green leaves providing abundant shade. So cool. The breeze feels delightful on your skin as it passes through its branches. Imagining the bright red berries that cover this tree, just waiting to be plucked to nourish you in your time of need. So much medicine, offering its love in so many ways. It shows you its heart through its berries, through its leaves, through its shade, through its ability to hold birds that sing you a song, that bring you joy, through its wood that helps to build shelter, creations, whatever your mind can think of, just wrapping you in its beautiful, verdant embrace. And as you are feeling held and loved by this tree, allow it to help you to open your heart space as well. As you breathe in the aroma of hawthorn, feeling the breeze sinking more and more deeply into the earth beneath you, connecting to the roots of hawthorn, becoming one with hawthorn, feeling that space in the middle of your chest begin to open, ready to receive any and all messages. The Creator speaking through hawthorn, speaking directly into your heart. go ahead and bring your awareness back into the body, thanking Hawthorne for walking with you in this journey, feeling into those fingers and toes, giving them a little wiggle, and perhaps having yourself a nice stretch. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I always enjoy hanging with you guys on Sundays. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Let me know how your walk went with Hawthorne this week when we meet with you guys on Sunday of next week. Let's see here. We had some spicy comments. Apparently, I see a bunch of chili peppers on the screen. Lilith says, Tara knows you've been threatening me in your free time. I do. And Time Harvest says, I told you not to tell anyone. I'm going to punish you tonight. Oh my gosh, all the spiciness. She says, well, it's too late now. Sherry Bug says, I love sweetgrass, but white coral is still, or copal is still my favorite. Oh, copal. Copal is a lovely scent. I would say that Palo Santo is actually my favorite, followed by sweetgrass, but also I think that it's kind of a tie with copal as well. So lovely scents, lovely. Melissa says, wasn't me. Kath over there with her happy hearts. Thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic week. Love you guys. Thank you to everybody who donated, everybody who asked questions, everybody who hung out with us today and provided insights, ha-has, things to think about, everything. So I'll catch you guys next Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Stay wild, my friends. Peace out.